Our most recent presidential elections are what many people would call a circus, maybe? So the other day I was with one of my clients getting ready to take a plea to a reduced sentence. And as I always do, I go over the rights with my client before they take a plea. So in this particular instance, I was explaining to my client the rights that he had and the rights that he was giving up by taking this plea. He was ready to get out of jail. So of course he was trying to rush me through it. He was like, I know, I can't vote anymore. I can't carry a firearm anymore. And I stopped him and I'm like, well, no, that's not all the way true. And I explained to him, you're not taking a plea to a life sentence. This is a felony plea to 2 years probation. After that 2 years probation is up, your rights to vote are automatically restored. And 5 years from the date that that 2 year sentence is over, you can apply to have your firearm rights restored. He was shocked. He didn't know this. And surprisingly, a lot of people don't know this as well. So let me explain it to you. Now, let's discuss some caveats. I'm only talking about the state of Georgia. While other states may have similar laws, you need to check what the particular laws are in your state. We're only talking about Georgia today. Also, we're talking about the process of restoring your civil and political rights, including firearm rights. We're not talking about expungements. We're not talking about record restrictions. We're not talking about sealing your records. We're not talking about first offender. We're not talking about pardons. Those issues will be explained in another video. It will be too long if I try to address all of those in this video. Remember, we're only talking about the process to restore your civil and political rights, including firearm rights. So, you've been convicted of a felony in Georgia. Do you lose your right to vote forever? No. In Georgia, once your sentence is completed, meaning you've completed probation, you're not on parole, you've done all your time. Once the sentence is done, your right to vote is automatically restored. You don't have to do any application. You don't have to make any requests. The Georgia Constitution automatically restores your right to vote once your sentence is completed. So, once you're done with that sentence, go down to your local registrar's office in the county that you live in and register to vote. And when election time comes, especially local elections, make sure you exercise your right to vote. So, you've been convicted of a felony in Georgia. Do you lose your right to hold public office forever? No. In Georgia, once your sentence is completed, you can apply to have your civil and political rights restored. So how do you do that? Let's talk about it. Once you've been convicted of a felony in Georgia, you do lose some of your civil rights. Those include the right to hold public office, the right to vote, as we already discussed, the right to serve on a jury, the right to be a notary public. But you can apply to have those rights restored. Now, this does not apply to registered sex offenders. In Georgia, there's a completely different application to, if you are a registered sex offender, to apply to have your rights restored. That's not what we're talking about today. If you have been convicted of a crime that requires that you register as a sex offender and be on the Georgia Sex Offender Registry, this does not apply to you. There's a completely different process to do that. So you have a non-sex offender felony conviction in Georgia. How do you apply to have your rights restored? The Georgia Board of Pardons and Parole has an application that you can obtain from their website to apply. We're going to list a link to that website in the description of this video. So how do you apply? You print out the application, and it's about 15 pages long. Make sure that you complete every single section and answer every single question before you submit it, or it may not be accepted. This application is free. There's no cost to apply. The Georgia Board of Pardons and Parole says that it takes usually about 6 to 9 months for your application to process, but sometimes it may be longer depending on their workload. How do you know if you're eligible to apply to have your civil and political rights restored? Remember, we already discussed that your right to vote is automatically restored once your sentence is completed. This is different. We're talking about the ability to run for public office, the ability to serve on a jury, the right to be a notary public. You have to apply, and you have to apply at least 5 years from the time that your sentence is completed. You have to show that for the past 5 years, you have lived as a law-abiding citizen. You cannot have any pending charges. You have to show that all your fines and any restitution have all been paid. These are all things that you need to make sure are done in order to be eligible to apply to have your civil rights and political rights restored. Now, you've went through the process to have your civil and political rights restored. Will it still show on your record that you have a felony conviction? Yes, it will. But the restoration of your civil and political rights will also show on your record. You may still have a felony conviction, but your rights will be restored. Now, you have your civil and your political rights restored. Can you go legally purchase a firearm now? Not so fast. The process to have your firearm rights restored is a little bit different. You still apply with the same form that you used to apply to have your civil and political rights restored. But you have to make sure that you check the line on the application that says, and let me make sure I get it correct, the line that says restoration of right to receive, possess, or transport in commerce a firearm. So make sure you check that line on that application. And in addition to all the same requirements that you had to meet for the restoration of your civil and political rights, you also, to get your firearm, you have to be personally interviewed by the Georgia Board of Pardons and Parole. So they're going to call you in and personally interview you as a part of the application process. You also have to sign a waiver allowing them to basically get all up in your business, meaning they can look at your tax returns, they can look at your credit report, they can look at your medical history, they can look at your educational history. That waiver that you sign allows them to basically search and look into anything that they want to about you. Once you pass this process and you complete this process, your firearm rights are restored. The 2018 midterm elections are coming up, as well as many of your local elections. Make sure that you know and understand your rights, and make sure that you exercise your right to vote. Remember, we only discussed the restoration of your civil, political, and firearm rights. We didn't discuss expungements, record restrictions, record sealing, first offender, pardons. There's just not enough time to discuss all of that in this video. We'll discuss that in a later video. Or if you want more information, you're welcome to contact my office to schedule a consultation. You can call us at 404-525-3082, or you can go to our website at www.fosterlawga.com. I'm attorney Chinwe Foster with the Foster Law Firm, where we specialize in aggressive and effective representation. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more legal information and to check out our other videos.